So our properties, we have certain properties that we know about X, Y, and Z here in a picture like this. And it's called the geometric mean. We know that this is the geometric mean of this and this, which means 6 over 3 equals 3 plus X over 6. That's the leg, because that was one of the rules about a geometric mean. Look in your notes and you'll see that the side, the leg of a right triangle like this is the geometric mean of the portion closest to it and the full bottom, which means 36, if I cross multiply, equals 3 times 3 plus X. And then what? To solve for X, what do?
You have to distribute to be 9.
I don't have to. I can just divide 3 by both sides. That'd be easier. So 12 equals 3 plus X. Wasn't that easier than distributing?
Yeah, 12
in my
equals
opinion.
3X.
And then what? X equals what?
4.
Nope, subtract 3 from both sides. And what would it equal?
Wait, why are you doing that?
Plus. How do I get rid of 3?
Wait, why wouldn't you just distribute the 3 and make it 9?
You can. I didn't because it's easier.
3X.
Watch, you'll see it's the same answer. I could have just divided both sides by 3.
But that confuses me.
If I could do this, but then I have a lot more work to do. I got to subtract 9 first, right? So that's, what, 27? And now I have to divide by 3.
Yeah, so that's easy.
And what's that? 9. In my opinion, it was easier to divide by 3 right here. I'm dividing both sides by 3, and I get 12 equals 3 plus X. And then I subtract 3 from both sides, and I get 9. In my opinion, that was easier. But it's okay if it wasn't. So X equals what?
9.
All right, now that I know what X equals, I can do that same thing, but now with Y. I can do the exact same thing, but now I'm using Y. Y is the geometric mean of that plus that. I'm sorry, not that plus that, that and that. So Y, I'll do this up here. Y over 9 equals the full thing. What's the full thing?
12.
12 over Y, which means Y squared equals 9 times 12. Now you might wonder why I didn't multiply 9 and 12. Let me tell you why. Because 9 is 3 and 3, 12 is 2 and 2 and 3, and I knew I was going to have to take the square root. So if I take the square root of that, you remember how you take the square root? That's a perfect square, and that's a perfect square. So really what I have is 3 times 2, which is 6. That comes out, and I have just 1 3 that stays in, because a lot of times they want you to write it in exact form. Now, if you're in a class where they're okay that you just punch it in your calculator and write a decimal, then do that. But in a lot of math classes, they'll make you write it exactly.
Yeah, but we just do Y squared, and then you would do 9 times 12.
That's what I'm saying. So some teachers say that they want you to write an exact answer. 6 root 3 is an exact answer. Or if you use your calculator, if you take the square root of 108, right, that's what 9 times 12 is. The square root of 108, take the square root of 108, and that'll tell you an approximate answer. 10.39.
So 10.4.
It depends on what they want you to write, how much they want you to round it to. So Y equals, again, if your teacher, if it's like an accelerated class, or if your teacher wants you to be exact, you need to write the square root of 108, which simplifies to 6 squared roots of 3, which you maybe haven't learned yet. And that's okay. If you're in a geometry class, you probably haven't learned this yet. But if you're doing this in an Algebra 2 Trig class, you've probably learned that, and they want you to write it. Or they're okay with you just writing it in a decimal approximation like that. Okay, so that's that. Now I still have to find Z. What would Z be?
Z would be, wouldn't it be like 9?
So we know that the altitude is the geometric mean of the length of the two segments of the base. And what that means, again, literally what that means is Z to 3 equals 9 to Z. Or sometimes you'll just see them write it straight like this. Z squared equals the square root, not Z squared. Z equals the square root of 9 times 3.
So can you just do like that in your calculator?
Yeah, you can just do it straight like that if your teacher's okay with that. This equals 3 root 3 if they want an exact answer, or it equals approximately
5.2. Wait, let me see if
5.20 or 5.1. And those are your answers.